Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's been nearly 3 months, actually a little over 3 months, since I asked the Minister of Justice a very important question to the people in my constituency and across the country, which was, in essence, when the Liberal government is going to stop putting the rights of offenders ahead of the rights of victims in this country. Now, over the summer, we have seen a proliferation, an expansion, a continuation of crime and lawlessness in large cities, small communities, all across this country. Now, on August 29th, the Justice Minister said, quote, "This isn't the Wild West," unquote. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to read some headlines that followed that comment. August 29th, repeat offender charged after alleged attack on transit police officer in Vancouver. August 30th, police say over 80 shots fired, 3 injured in downtown Hamilton shooting. August 31st, police say man 46 targeted in Vaughan homicide, 3 suspects wanted. September 1st, 2 men shot in Scarborough, Toronto police appeal for info. September 2nd, shooting at Abbotsford home leaves residents shaken but uninjured. September 3rd, 12-year-old charged with attempted murder in Markham shooting. Believe it or not, that 12-year-old was out on bail. September 4th, woman kidnapped, family member shot during yet another Ontario home invasion. September 5th, 2 people killed and 2 injured in a double homicide in Vancouver. To be respectful of this House's time, I'll just skip ahead to a few hours ago. Boy 12 and man charged after unhoused man killed in unprovoked attack, Toronto police say. A different 12-year-old. Every single day since the Minister of Justice mocked Canadians concerned about crime, there has been yet another example, and many more that I didn't have time to share today. Many of these cases, offenders out on bail, under release, under conditions after previous criminality that has already been known. This has long since passed, where we even need to provide evidence of how the bail system and the justice system in this country have been broken. The one thing we can say for certain is that this has all happened under the Liberal government's watch over the last 10 years. A series of legislative changes that have made bail easier to get and have resulted in more criminals out on the streets. This is a government that likes to say it listens to the experts. I'd like to highlight some of the thoughts that have been shared by police chiefs in my riding of Elgin St. Thomas, London South. One comes from the police chief in London, Ontario, Chief Ty Trong, who says, "This kind of violence and the total disregard for public safety is a symptom of a larger issue," and he said that issue is the criminal justice system. Chief Kyle Johnstone of Aylmer, "We're seeing a troubling pattern where individuals with a demonstrated history of criminal behavior are being released back into the community only to reoffend within days." Chief Mark Roskamp of St. Thomas, "The current bail approach continues to allow high-risk individuals to reoffend once released." My question for the Minister of Justice is very simple. When will the Liberal government accept the failure of Bill C-75 and introduce real bail reform that puts the rights of victims first?
The Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance and National Revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I welcome the opportunity to speak today on the government's efforts to address crime and public safety. The impacts of crime on victims, their families, their friends, and their entire communities are far-reaching and long-lasting. Canadians deserve communities that are safe, and the government is committed to ensuring that the criminal justice system works effectively to keep Canadians safe and to hold offenders accountable. While this Parliament is still relatively young, the Government of Canada is focused and already taking action to address pressing issues facing our communities. During the election, we promised to strengthen the criminal code and move aggressively to protect victims by making bail laws stricter for violent and organized crime, for home invasions, car thefts, and human trafficking. The Prime Minister and Minister of Justice have both signaled the government's intention to move quickly on this legislation, and we heard the Justice Minister today talk about how that legislation is in short order forthcoming. I share my colleagues' concern, obviously, for the devastating impact that illegal drugs have had on Canadian communities, and my community is no exception. The Government of Canada has already introduced legislation through Bill C-2, the Strong Borders Act, to ensure the law enforcement has tools to keep our borders secure, combat transnational organized crime, stop the flow of illegal fentanyl, and crack down on money laundering. It will bolster our response to increasingly sophisticated criminal networks and enhance the integrity and fairness of our immigration system while protecting Canadians' privacy and charter rights. I would encourage all of my colleagues in this place to work together to ensure that we can achieve these goals as quickly as possible. Bill C-2 builds on past investments made by the Government of Canada, notably through December 2024's border plan. The plan focuses on 5 key pillars: detecting and disrupting the illegal fentanyl trade; 2, introducing significant new tools for law enforcement; 3, enhancing operational coordination; 4, increasing information sharing; and 5, minimizing unnecessary border volumes. Through an investment of $1.3 billion over 6 years to bolster security at the border and reinforce the immigration system, the plan also targets law reform to strengthen capabilities for immediate deployment of people and equipment. The government also appointed a fentanyl czar to provide national leadership, coordinate federal efforts, and strengthen the response to the escalating harms caused by fentanyl and other toxic opioids. Mr. Speaker, the Government of Canada is serious about addressing illegal drugs and organized crime. While we could speak for much longer about the importance of this issue and the efforts the government is taking, I will conclude by highlighting that laws on their own won't result in safer communities. We require action by those responsible for the criminal justice system to effectively implement those laws and to ensure that there are resources in place so that the system is working as intended. That is why I'm happy that the government is making significant real investments in addressing these issues through recruiting 1,000 more RCMP officers, 1,000 additional CBSA personnel, including border services officers, intelligence analysts, and specialized chemists. There's much more to talk about, but have no doubt, Mr. Speaker, our government is focused on cracking down on crime and is addressing some of the bail reform issues that we have heard about that lead to repeat offenders. Thank you very much.
The member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Mr. Speaker, I think there might have been a misunderstanding here. I don't have a question about my taxes. I don't have a question about the lack of a budget from the Liberal government. I don't know why a question about bail reform was met with a response by the Minister's Parliamentary Secretary for Finance and National Revenue. Evidently, bail reform is not a priority for the Justice Minister or even his Parliamentary Secretary to address this. But I'll be very clear on something. When the Parliamentary Secretary says that laws are not responsible for this, he is ignoring what police and provinces and municipalities across this country have said, which is that the Liberal government's Bill C-75 has directly caused there to be more of a revolving door, putting serious, sometimes violent offenders back out on the street. So will this Liberal government commit to repealing the principle of restraint that is putting criminals out on the street sometimes hours after they're arrested?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the member opposite. Let me be clear. The Government of Canada is committed to ensuring that Canadians live in safe communities free from the poison of toxic drugs. We're also committed to addressing bail reform issues that will help ensure that individuals aren't out on bail. The Government of Canada has already introduced laws to strengthen our borders and address illegal drug activity, and has committed to introducing new legislation very soon to meet the specific commitments that we have made to Canadians, as well as the broader goal of maintaining a just and safe society for all. While crime continues to represent a serious challenge in our society, the government is meeting it head-on and working in lockstep with provinces and territories in this regard. I encourage all of us in this place to work together so that we can ensure that these efforts are successful, and that includes all opposition members. I look forward to that member playing a constructive part of the process.